I thought of sharing with the audience today some of the pictures from the incident that occurred on the main distribution lines feeding electricity to the coal conveyor belts at Lethabo power station. You will recall that yesterday we indicated that at 6 p.m. on Wednesday night, a tower collapsed onto the second distribution line. This line then also tripped, so the double redundancy was eliminated. The line is a high capacity line for a distribution line. It's 88 kV line, and the stays that were cut are galvanized steel rods, 24 millimeters in diameter. So these are very sturdy rods. The perpetrators of this cut all 8 stays. There is no sign of corrosion, no sign of metal fatigue. There was no shearing of these stays, and there's clear evidence that there was some cutting instrument involved, whether that is a hacksaw or whether it is an angle grinder that we will determine. But what further arouses suspicion that this was a deliberate act of sabotage is that nothing was stolen from the site. So the stays were cut, the tower was pushed over onto the other line, but nothing was stolen. So this is not an economic crime. This was clearly now an act of sabotage, and I think we can call it as such. So without further ado, let me share what I've got in terms of pictures. Then we can take a look at that. Right, there we go. Sikanati, if you can just confirm that it's visible on the screen.
Yes, Andre, it is visible, a bit small. Is there a way you can make it bigger? Let us say I will share these pictures as well. Media Desk will also share them on the email.
Correct. Unfortunately, I can't make them any bigger. That is a function of your screen size. So, colleagues, you can clearly see here that it's a so-called H-frame tower. There are the cable stays that were cut. What is interesting is that this toppled tower fell uphill, highly unusual. If we move on, there you can see the 24 millimeter galvanized steel rod that was cut. You can see the score marks there from the cutting instrument. You can also see the clean edge around the rod makes it very apparent that this was not metal fatigue. There's no evidence of corrosion of any sort, and it's quite clear that from the clean cut that this is not shearing caused by any torsion or distress caused on this steel rod. So clearly cut rather than any other cause. Another one cut right down at ground level. You can see again from the fact that it is shiny how recent this is. So this is not a new, this is not an old incident. This is very new. The steel hasn't had any opportunity to corrode, show any rust. And then here as well, you can clearly see the marks on the steel suggesting cutting. Now, the consequences of this happening are, of course, quite significant. This means that if we had lost power supply to those conveyor belts feeding coal to Lethabo, we would have run out of coal at the power station after 6 hours. That is the capacity of the bunkers at the power station. This would then have caused us to lose our most reliable unit at this point in time, a loss of about 3,600 megawatts, and would have put us into much worse than stage 4 load shedding, probably stage 6 load shedding, through a deliberate act of sabotage. And you will note that I am now calling this for what it is. For some time we have had suspicious incidents, but I think this is the clearest indication that we have had to date that there are individuals out there who seek to really damage the economy by causing very significant and substantial load shedding. We have reported the matter to the Hawks. The Hawks are assisting us in investigation.